Hello, welcome to the Crackpot Podcast.
A beautiful day to start up a revolution. Molotov cocktails, martini shotgun shells. Wild, 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 wild one. God forbid the cops get called. I say the more the merrier inside this free. See it fall. I got front row tickets to the greatest show of all.
Welcome to a special edition of the Crackpot Podcast. This is a podcast intended to be part of the bookstore, so it will be a permanent fixture somewhere on the blog. I will describe what I'm looking at so the listener knows. I'm looking at a spreadsheet with just a few columns: title of the book, the genre, the word count, the date that it was added to the list, and then I have a number of columns here for my team of volunteer proofreaders. And this list has 31 titles on it. This list represents all the titles which Mr. LaFond has completed the writing and handed it over to me for publishing. I'm going to tell you the total of word counts. It's about 1.2 million words. That's a lot of words. James, why do you write so much?
It's a race against insanity. I'm trying not to lose my mind. So, partially I'm trying to forget things. I can forget a lot of nonfiction stuff after I've written it. I don't forget the fiction after I write it, but, so I don't know what type of writing does me more good. And eventually maybe the whole thing backfires and I end up like Philip K. Dick. But,
luckily you don't do drugs.
Well, this is fortunate.
That should help.
So, I have about the same number of titles in progress as you have completed there. And I'm hoping to get you 6 more by end of February or middle of March, something like that.
That's about 6 weeks away.
Yeah, I plan on spending like a week each finishing various fiction books that are in the works. They're mostly a couple novels, a novella, and then the rest are novelettes. So it's and I have 2 nonfiction books that are essentially done. I just have to assemble them, and what I'm doing is, I really wanted to knock those 2 other nonfiction books out after I did Sons of Aryas, but that causes a lot of eye strain doing the formatting, since I can't really type and I look at the keyboard, and writing fiction doesn't strain my eyes that much, but looking at a screen and then copying and pasting and doing all this stuff does strain my eyes. So my plan is, after I finish each one of these fiction books, I'll go in and then format a nonfiction book that's essentially done and send that to you. So I don't plan on doing a higher than normal amount of writing. I just kind of I have my sights set on finishing up ongoing projects. That's why I plan on hitting you with another mess of books.
Roughly speaking, every time I publish a book, you have already given me 2 new books. And it doesn't matter if it's a really huge monster book like Cracker Boy, or if it's a modest fiction book like Under an Iron Crown. That's the next one that's going into print. Doesn't matter. You'll just give me 2 more. But here I'm looking. What I'm showing to you right now is your sales so far in January. It's January 27th. Do you see these numbers?
Oh, wow.
Right here? 9 copies of The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, 8 copies of Cracker Boy, 2 Wine Dark Sea, 4 letters from the Fall, 2 Combat Space, and 3 Violence Project. Oh, that's pretty good.
Wow. That from what I've been seeing, I'm seeing the same trend on the 2 sites that I can look at. This is a site that you gave me the means to look at it, but I just haven't been able to do it because anyhow, just small technical things. But the ones that I'm used to looking at that's got books that were all published, 2007, I guess 2017 and earlier. Most of them were published in 2014 to 16. The same trend has happened, and I've really noticed it since I appeared on the Third Rail, that the violence and fighting books are no longer the top sellers, that the Plantation America stuff is the top selling things, which is really interesting because I'm pretty certain that, a year and a half or so ago that my benevolent censor punished me for writing Plantation America stuff by hitting me in what was then the fat part of my wallet, which was the fighting stuff, and censoring stuff that had been up for sale for like 18, 19 years. So that's really fascinating. I guess that backfired. Sorry. I hope my benevolent censor still continues to support my work by focusing the ireful eye on it in a disapproving way. And I think the reason why the Plantation America stuff was not directly attacked was because it amounts to a whole bunch of annotations of primary sources. And, you just can't, it's stuff that's really irrefutable. And I came to the conclusion that that's why it was censored, just because of the way the dominoes fell when I was writing an article about, I'm not going to put in another Plantation America book because they don't sell, and the fighting stuff sells, and then boom, the very next day, my 2 top sellers get nixed.
Yeah, I was recalling that recently, and I put it on Twitter, and I'll soon put it on the blog spot. The story of this book, primarily The Logic of Steel, and how that book has been unjustly persecuted, and how you, the author, have been sort of defrauded of the...
It was hilarious because the way they did it wasn't the way the other books were suppressed, and they changed this to hold based on my suggestion. Okay.
That's right. This is true. No. This is actually true because it was, at the time, CreateSpace was getting fully absorbed into Amazon. CreateSpace was purchased by Amazon earlier, but this was the time when Amazon was fully integrating CreateSpace, and it created, now it's called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. So in this process, it seems like what they did was they added like a layer of thought police to the business process, and they were trying to figure out how to do it, and this was part of it, the suppression, this idea of like...
They had 2 of my titles were suppressed, and 2 of them were listed as CreateSpace hold. I wrote an article pointing this out. I even copied and pasted from the POD's back end, print on demand platform, and I think 6 hours later, I went to the back end, and somebody had read that article, and they took my suggestion that suppressed was too extreme. They ought to go with hold, and then they were all switched over to hold. Okay, so I hope in the future, at my trial, that the fact that I've helped you people actually develop your censorship platform, and that statistically speaking, almost nobody's ever going to read my stuff anyhow, and I'm going to remain poor. I'm hopeful that I'll get some kind of dispensation and maybe be sent to the Cayman Islands to judge like the Miss Bum Bum Caribbean pageant or something like that, and put out the pasture and not be punished.
That was sort of in Brave New World, right? They took the guys who were more disruptive and kind of sent them away somewhere.
Oh, they built a theme park around the one guy. Maybe they could build a theme park around me. And I could actually stock it with people that would like feed my big butt fetish, and I don't know.
And that's I don't think you've read Slaughterhouse 5, but if you ever get your hands on that, you probably like it. There's something like that in Slaughterhouse 5. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't read that one. That was amongst the books that got thrown in the dumpster before I read it. But anyhow, so I'm hoping that the censors, that the deep state people will keep me around as comic relief. I am not a threat. Okay, I stand as an example that if you have unpopular opinions, you'll end up living in Big Tony's garage, or some nice Christian people will put you up in a camper for a while in their backyard. You end up.
You're a hermit. This was done by wealthy Victorians. They would build a hermitage in their property, in their yard, and they would hire men to come and live to complete the effect, of housing a hermit. So this is what you are, a hermit. So if anybody's listening, you need a hermit for your hermitage in your yard, get in touch. James might be available.
I'd prefer if it had a built-in pool and was stocked with like a couple of Brazilian chicks. I'll make do with Dominicans.
It's not quite the Victorian model, but
okay, Asians. Whatever's on staff.
Well, let's get back to my spreadsheet.
Okay.
This is my solution for this type of talk.
All right. Okay, but which
spreadsheet is just it's like a bucket of cold water. So here you are. This is the list of titles. I think they're in order of when they were added to this list. So we're going back to July of 2017 for the earliest, and all the way down to January 24th, which is just 3 days ago, for the last one.
Okay.
So how do you want to do this, Mr. LaFond? You want to just go down the list?
Yeah, and how are we going to decide what order do these things go out?
I put numbers over here to the left. So you can see right by under an iron crown, I've got a number 1.
Okay.
Because that is going out next.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's do them in the order that they're going to be published. So then after we run through the numbers that you have, we can then make a decision for what's the next number up. So it'll be like a little game show.
Yeah, we can do that because I can sort on any column.
This would fall under multitasking. We're actually getting administrative work done.
That's right. So people are now sitting in on an office meeting, basically, at Crackpot Publishing headquarters.
All right.
Okay. Well, so I do have some here. I have put some numbers by stuff here. I have Under an Iron Crown that's coming up next. I kind of wanted to do Barbarism versus Civilization. That one's been on the tip of my tongue for a long time.
Yeah, since it was banned by our benevolent censors, I think it's about time we honor them and put that out. And that'll be a limited edition through your own little platform, right?
It might be, yeah. Yes, I could do it through.
That's what I want to do. Books that got banned, I want it to go directly to you and be your property.
Yes. Okay, and then I will do it through Lulu.
Okay.
Okay, the next one like that is Autumn in a Dying City. And that one is a harmed city. So Barbarism versus Civilization is a masculinity title.
Yeah.
66,000 words. Autumn in a Dying City is a harmed city title, and that was also banned.
That was banned, I think, in January or February of 17. It was suppressed. That was my
Yeah.
first title that was suppressed. Barbarism versus Civilization was the second title that was suppressed. So I'm already making money off of Autumn in a Dying City as a Kindle book. So I think you should take this and put it directly into your own little publishing empire, because again, it was banned. So it should go directly to you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Then I have On Combat. I don't know why I put that next, because I did do Combat Space recently. I just threw a number 4 on there, I guess probably to just get a combat book in. But now we had previously talked about that we haven't done a literary book in a long time, and so I have a Well of Heroes number 3.
Okay, let's put that
So
as
maybe
4. Well of Heroes number
Okay.
3 should go as 4. And that stuff's been selling lately. A couple of people have tuned in, maybe because they're Boys listeners, because he seems to be into, literary stuff. I've picked up a couple of sales on that series, which started out with 1,000 Years in His Soul, 2 different volumes, The Poets and the Seers. Okay.
That's 4 books: fiction, masculinity, Harm City, and literary. So that kind of hits lots of different categories. It leaves out a combat category. So we could add, I think the only one in the queue is On Combat.
I wouldn't do that
for
one
that.
yet. I wouldn't do that one yet.
Don't no?
Because
Okay.
I'm not writing any more of those kind of books. So I
Yeah.
would kind of hold off on
So
that.
hang on. Okay, well then how about Sons of Aryas, which is a history book?
Yes, and somebody has asked for that. So Sons of Aryas, that'll be a big project.
That's 117,000 words, and that's the most recently added. So that's 5 books. That's at least 6 months' work for me.
Okay.
Probably around 6 months' work. And some of these have been proofed by other helpers, so that is very nice.
So let's go to the stuff that's already been
So-
proofed, and then add that next, because you're
Okay.
going to be overworked after doing Sons of Aryas.
Okay, well then we should put Confessor next, because that is fiction, and it is already proofed.
All right, cool.
So I'll put that as number 5. No, sorry, number 6. And then what else is already proofed? Vagabond Mind.
All right. Yeah, that would be good, because that's essentially what's become of the Harm City series. It's a mixture of a Harm City writing for when I'm visiting there and when I'm in other places, and basically Q&As out of my email box, which on any given week might represent most of my writing output, because I'll get a lot of those.
I do have like a pure Harm City title, I think. Winter in a Dying City, Harm City to Chicongo. And is Woke Devil a Harm City title?
That's really a masculinity book, but it's, the masculinity stuff and the Harm City stuff cross over a lot.
They do.
What else do
Harm
we have
City
proof?
to me is like, what else do I have proved? Harm City to me is like a diary entry. Like it's you being a diarist of the urban fall. On Combat is proofed, and I think that's all I have proofed right now. Let me check my files. So yeah, okay. So A Fear in Night is also edited or read, at least proofread.
Okay.
What is that one? Is that one
That is of Fear and Night. That is a impressions of Robert E. Howard's work, focusing on his one novel that he wrote and completed during his lifetime, The Hour of the Dragon, the biggest Conan story. Okay.
Okay, so that could come after a few other ones, because I have A Well of Heroes is number 4. So if I give this one a number 8, I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
That'll give us a few titles in between. Then let me look for this one, The Island of Broken Men. Is that a masculinity title?
Yes.
Is it part of any other title?
This Island of Broken Men? This Island of Broken Men I have.
You have it?
So I'll send it.
No, I'm sure I have it.
Okay.
What do you have that you're working on that you would think could be like a high priority when it comes out?
Night Song of the Nords.
Okay, fiction. So what other fiction? So that's everything that's already proofed. And the other fiction I have, so we have Confessor is already on the to-do list. Seven Moons Deep is with a proofreader,
Okay.
and that's fiction. Let's see. American Dreamboat. Oh, I think this one might be proofed. This one I think is proofed, but then I wasn't sure if you're going to change it or add to it.
No. If that's proofed, get it out there.
Okay.
Because it'll.
It's coming true too quickly, so we have
Yeah.
to get it out there.
Yeah, and it'll.
And Ghost Snatcher.
Yeah. I want to look like I'm riding ahead of the curve, not behind it.
Yeah. Okay. So the other thing is that fiction books tend to be shorter and easier to proof. So they get published more quickly. So after, I don't think I have enough to do like every other one as fiction, but maybe every third. So that's a good rhythm too, I think.
Okay.
And then you know what I would like to do sooner than later is my younger self, which is biography.
Okay.
And that one's been sitting in the queue kind of a long time. So that's 9 out of 31. Oh, it's so many books. Okay, so if I sort it on this, can you see the list now?
Yes.
So this is my next 9 books. I've got fiction, masculinity, Harm City, literary, history, fiction again, new Harm City, which is your travel impressions along with Harm City impressions, another literary, and then a biography. That might be all I can do in 2020. That's my 2020 plan right there.
Okay.
And we'll throw in American Dreamboat as bonus. If I need something short and easy, I'll do American Dreamboat, and then Night Song of the Nords when you send me that. So I'll put American Dreamboat as 10.
Okay.
All right.
All right. That sounds
That's
good.
2020 in books. I hope. I haven't done a 2019 review, but I can tell it to you right now. Here are the books that got published in 2019. Cracker Boy, The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, Letters from the Fall, along with Civilization Decomposes. Those two are in one volume. Yusef of the Dusk, Book of Nightmares, The Combat Space, and By the Wine Dark Sea. Which reminds me that I can also, as an extra, put on Ghetto Grocer, because I have that in hard copy. I have that proofread in hard copy. So if I want to do a reissue, so last year the reissue was By the Wine Dark Sea. So if we do a Crackpot reissuance of a James LaFond book, it would be Ghetto Grocer.
It sounds good.
That's a big plan for 2020. The biggest one is Sons of Aryas, the history book, and those are hard work to publish because I like to go in and create footnotes and create a bibliography and stuff like that, so that people can see that it is a well-researched and well-thought-out book. Let's talk about ePubs.
Okay.
People like to ask for ePubs, and I do have a small number of titles available as ePubs. But what I have learned the hard way is that ePubs don't like footnotes. It's very easy when you have a Word document. It's very easy to convert it to an ePub. I use a program called Caliber, and you just kind of click a button and it turns it into an ePub. However, it doesn't like images and it doesn't like footnotes. So right now I'm going through Cracker Boy and converting all the footnotes into just regular text chapter end notes. And when I finish that, then it will be available as an ePub. And after that, I will do The Greatest Lie Ever Sold, because those have been requested.
Okay.
So what I'm doing with ePubs is that when somebody requests it, I say, yes, please wait, and I will make you an ePub. And then it's just an email thing. You make a donation and I'll email it to you. And then what I need to do is on the bookstore put a list of those titles which are available in ePub, and that list will slowly grow. People like ePubs, so you sell PDFs on your website, and those are really nice. But the reason that people like ePubs is that on your phone, PDFs are kind of hard to read, because a PDF you can just look at one page at a time. And if it's so tiny on your phone, you have to kind of blow it up, and then you have to scroll it side to side to read it. So people don't like doing that. So people who read on their phones would rather have ePubs, which reflow as you open them. It's more like a web page. So whatever size you make it, the text adjusts. And it has like a little bit of a table of contents feature where you can kind of click and get to a spot, and it remembers where you are and stuff like that. So that's why people prefer ePubs. They also your computer will read them to you if you want that. And I don't think they can do that with PDFs very easily. So this is why there is some demand for ePubs, and I will try to meet that demand slowly but surely as it arises. Oh, and one more thing is that we have had interest from a very nice man, and I'm supposed to talk to him sometime this week, who wants to read some of your books for possibly for sale on Audible. So that will be a 2020 project also.
I've listened to, he did The Cats of Ulthar. That it was a short H.P. Lovecraft story that he sent me, and I thought he had a wonderful voice. And, I thought his reading of the story was really great. So that's really nice that he wants to do that.
So big things are happening in 2020 for Crackpot Industries. We're sticking with the podcast. Lately, the podcast has gained listeners because of your appearances on TRS, and because for some reason BAP seems to be retweeting my podcast tweets, and I appreciate that he does that, but I also get a little nervous when I notice that more people are listening. So hello to new listeners, and I hope you like it.
What are we going to do with the rest of the queue?
I don't know. That's for next year.
Okay.
You want me to tell you what else is in there? Winter in a Dying City. That is a Harm City title. Honor Among Men. That is a masculinity title. Knuckleheads and Wonder Boys. I think you gave this to someone. You gave this to my friend Jared.
Okay. Yes, that you could pull that out. I'm going to reformat that, and this young fellow that's a gamer who's interested in publishing it, well, he'll end up publishing that. Yeah, because I kind of wanted my gaming stuff on a separate platform in case the hammer comes down. At least the extreme nerdy stuff won't get crushed.
Yeah, he got in touch with me and talked about what I usually do in terms of the publishing process and so on. So we have discussed it, and he'll be in, he'll stay in touch with me and let me know how things are going. So that is on his, but it'll stay here until it gets published. It stays on this list.
Okay.
Until it gets published.
Great.
Whether it's published by me or someone else, is fine. I still need to monitor it. Then I have Harm City to Chicongo, and that has a #1 on it. I don't know if you were planning to use that title again.
I was going to, but then I abruptly moved out of Harm City.
All right.
So that's the last Harm City book. Harm City to Chicongo.
That's the last pure.
It's the last Harm City book.
Yeah.
So after that, the Harm City writing that I do is mixed in other books that focus on masculinity and literary review and fighting advice, so that's like the Vagabond Mind book. Okay. That I don't know what it's kind of hybrid masculinity, shithole city, how to fight category. I'm sure it's a mistake, as far as marketing goes, but,
well, these are your diaries. I think of these as it's, this is a legitimate literary genre is the diarist and also correspondence, right? So,
Right.
letters get published. So if you were in the library, you could probably use one of those in the Dewey Decimal, whatever. So it's kind of like a diary, including correspondence, and still covering the major themes of your work,
Okay.
which is city life, fighting, masculinity. I still think of them as diaries
Okay.
for the most part. I know you kind of don't like that because diary sounds
All right.
like dear diary, whatever,
That's all right.
Um, but that's what I call it.
So, Honor Among
I don't.
Men is masculinity, obviously.
Yeah.
And Harm City to Chicongo is the last Harm City book. Knuckleheads and Wonder Boys is gaming. Why Grown Ups Suck. Okay. I don't know what category you put that in.
I think that's masculinity. I think that's a masculine approach to child rearing.
Okay.
And Woke Devil.
Masculinity. Within the reduction engine is the post-Harm City stuff.
Okay.
In line with Vagabond Mind. Same with Wrong Think Sink on Combat.
On Combat's Combat. Death of the Writer. That's New Harm City. That's the new diaries, right?
The Death of a Writer stuff is just travel writing.
So here's the thing, though. I think that this title is redundant with Dawn. Is it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's it.
So should I delete?
The writers delete, and I put them all. I put it instead of doing one for each year of that writing, I combined 2 years in the first volume. Dawn on the Overton Railroad. Okay, that's travel writing.
All right. Then we have This Island of Broken Men.
Masculinity.
That's masculinity. 7 Moons Deep is fiction. Weak Devil.
That's post Harm City. That's the
Diaries.
Yeah, New Harm City.
Of Dogs and Men.
Of Dogs and Men is a biography of a dog.
Oh, that's right. Forgot about
that. Okay. And I do remember Weak Devil was specifically the Harm City material I wrote in Portland, Oregon in 2019, winter 2019. Okay. My Dad Had No Legs. That's biography. Jamie's going to publish that. Meat Puppet Masquerade is New Harm City.
And Dark Age.
New Harm City.
Sold as fiction. As Darkness Falls.
Harm City.
Okay. Well, that's it. Ghost Snatcher, that's fiction.
It looks like 4 of the New Harm City books a year is being generated by my correspondence and Weird Residency, along with, one travel book like every other year.
It's pretty good. Busy guy.
It looks like the trajectory.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the first sunny day since I've been in the Cascades.
Wow. Yeah, it's sunny here too. We sort of share a little bit of the weather, share a coastline, but you guys definitely get much more weather than we do. That's a chapter for the bookstore. So we'll close that out.
Thank you.
Getting late and we've got shit to do in outer space. Mothers can wait. We will take the ones worth saving. Pack your bags, we are vacating now. Forever, forever. There's a cosmic radio with my head, and it's reading news articles and the correspondence